Good evening and welcome. This is the June 20th fire briefing for the Calf Canyon and Hermits Peak fires. My name is Celeste Prescott, Public Information Officer with Southwest Incident Management Team 1. Southwest Team 1 has management responsibilities for the north zone of the fire. The southern zone of the fire is currently being managed by Southwest Incident Management Team 5. There is a transition coming up, and so Wednesday, the incoming team, Southwest Incident Management Team 3, will be shadowing us. So we are not going to have a public meeting on Wednesday, but they will resume again on Friday with the two new teams. Some updated numbers for those that can't see the ticker on the bottom. We're currently at 341,471 acres. We're still at 72% contained, and we now have 1,913 personnel assigned to the fire. I'm going to go ahead and open this evening up with Southwest Incident Management Team 1, Incident Commander Carl Schwope.
All right, good evening. Carl Schwope, I see here on the North Zone. And before I get started, we got to say hi to Vicki. She's right here in your world. Vicki works for the Emergency Response Interpreters group out of Arizona, and we did reminisce. First time we remember working together is 2016 on the Fulton fire. So y'all can Google that up and see Vicki back in the day. All right, back to the fire. We did transition the midnight fire back to the local unit this morning at 0700. And then on the north zone, or on the Hermits Peak Calf Canyon fire, rain is the topic, and for a number of reasons. It has definitely helped us in moderating the fire behavior, and that's been a good thing. It has slowed us down a little bit on our building of the contingency lines up on the north, and in places has slowed us down a little bit on suppression repair. Overall, the south zone has gotten more rain than the north zone, and the west side's gotten more rain on the east side. So folks doing suppression repair in and around Mora and Chacon, places like that, are still making good progress, but other places it gets real muddy, and we don't want to make a bigger mess than what we already have. So, and then also, as you're going to hear, the rain and the potential for future rain does create the probability or possibility of dangerous flooding. And we've talked about it before. Debris flows associated with these large fires, severe fire scars, can be catastrophic. And so there's information that we'll share that'll kind of help guide you through that as we move through the monsoon season. So I'll turn it back over to Celeste.
Thank you very much, Carl. And for those that are curious about the latest warnings for floods and debris flow, we are sharing all the information that is coming out on the county pages for all the affected counties to our Facebook page. So you can find all that information on our page when you need it. And now I'm going to turn it over to Southwest Incident Management Team 1, Operations Section Chief Jason COIL.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to start with the map and end with my book. So with that, Carl touched on it, but we are still continuing to work on the contingency line on the southern end. Focusing our work primarily on the areas where the road systems allow for us to gain access without, as Carl also noted, creating additional damage. One of the ways that we're helping to minimize that additional damage is by putting in getting some gravel in here off the Pot Creek Road and working on getting that up here on top. Basically making this road system where the road system is more all-weather, so that we can finalize this work and get that equipment off the hill without doing any damage, especially as we get closer to some very important cultural areas down there on the west. Continuing on the northern contingency line, the same thing about some road improvements on the areas where the clay was real thick and the road was getting difficult are occurring down here. And we'll continue to work on that. It's unlikely that we'll be doing any more contingency line activities tomorrow, because we don't want to mess up the road that we just worked really hard to fix. But they'll be able to pick that up in coming days based on the improvements that have been made. All right, so then the other thing that's going on is suppression repair. The suppression repair activities up here around Sierra Bonita, just a couple little areas that need to be completed. Other than that, this all the way across the north side of the Rincons here, and then all the way south to Guadalupita, the suppression repair work has been completed. The suppression repair work that started at Mora and was moved north has gotten all the way almost to where the A023 road comes off. And I do believe that tonight, by the end of the shift, that they'll be able to show more completed repair work up here in this drainage. So that work is going on there. They also reached out a little bit to some of these dozer lines that were put in off to the east on the 442 road, and as you can see, a lot of those are now green. Along with that, a ton of work's been going on down here south of the Dukes. Started in with the deeper in roads or the deeper in dozer lines, and then the ones here around the perimeter starting to work on them next because they can gain access to them in less favorable weather. In addition to the contingency groups and the 3 suppression repair groups, we also have a rapid response group, and the rapid response group today was assisting in mitigating fire or the post-flood effects while they were standing ready to be able to respond to any flooding or debris removals on county roads that may need to be done in the coming days. And lastly, we do have an initial attack group. So with that, I will set my antler down here without dropping it. And the other thing I want to talk to you guys about was we've gone over it a couple times in the morning briefings, but is planning for tomorrow. So when you listen to what the IMET has to offer, and please do, I personally have a lot of concern about what's going to be happening in some of the areas where communities are right below places where there was severe fire damage to the slopes above. And one of the ways that we prepare for and plan for being able to adjust to different changes in the environment is by developing our own PACE plan. So we didn't come up with that idea, we stole it. We stole it from the Green Berets. It stands for Primary, Alternate, Contingent, and Emergent. The way we use it normally is when we're talking about suppression lines. So we have a primary line, then we have an alternate line, a contingent line, an emergent line. So if our primary line fails, we don't have to think about that we need to go now figure out what we're going to do next. We already know what we're going to do next. And that's the part I wanted to reinforce with y'all, is that think about what your communication plan is going to be, and think about how that communication plan would be different during the day and during the night. If everybody in your family's at home asleep, communicating and deciding what you're going to do as a family unit, it's probably a different environment than if some of you are at work, some of you are at school, people are over at a friend's house, whatever. And so I would highly encourage you to game through those different alternatives and talk about it. If you can make contact by cell phone, and then if you can't make contact by cell phone, what are you going to do? Where's your rally points? Where are you going to have people go so they don't try to come back through a dangerous situation? That would be my suggestion. And then the last thing that I wanted to just highlight is the notion of experience versus relevant experience. So everybody that lives in these communities has probably experienced 2-3 inch monsoonal rains before. And so it would be easy for me if I was in that situation to look at this and say, hey, I've experienced this before. We only got an inch of rain today. It's probably not going to be that bad. But the bad thing about that experience is it's not relevant experience. So I would be asking yourself, have you ever experienced an inch of rain when there was a high severity burn on all the slopes above your home? Probably not. So try not to get lulled into a full sense of security or rationalize what you think is going to happen based on what has happened before in an environment that is not at all similar to the environment that exists right now. So with that, that's the end of my operational update. Thank you.
Thank you, as always, Jason. We really appreciate it. And Jason will continue to do the morning operations videos for the next 2 mornings until we transition the fire on Thursday at 7 a.m. And I'm going to turn it down to our operations section chief on the south from Southwest Area Incident Management Team 5, Marcus Cornwell.
We'll start here with a little discussion about our suppression repair. Our suppression repair equipment's been in the high country, and you guys know we've been starting to receive some rain. We've received an inch in some places, and what that's made is the work kind of impossible in the high country. So for the safety of the firefighters and the equipment, we've moved a lot of the equipment out of the skyline country where we could. We still have a couple of pieces up there, and moved them down closer to their low boys down on blacktop so that we could get them out of there in the event this rain event keeps going. As we come to the north, where we've had the large run that happened last week, still a little bit of heat up there, but largely the probability is starting to go down that it's going to threaten our values down here. So we've begun breaking down some hose lays around Beatty's cabin and around some of the structures down here in Iron Gate. We still have firefighters accessing the fire's edge, but really minimal heat showing. There is still heat up in the high country, but it's steadily diminishing. And so those firefighters in the coming days when rain picks up will really be pulling back to safe places so that they're not endangered as well. With that, we've created a post-flood response group, similar to what Jason was talking about, a couple of pieces of heavy equipment and overhead should our partners with the state, county, or local folks ask for any assistance to open up roads. And today we filled about 9,000 bags of sand, 150 yards with the San Miguel County Yard. So pretty good stroke today getting that accomplished. And with that, I'll turn it over. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Marcus. We appreciate that. Now I'm going to turn it over to Incident Meteorologist Andy Gorelow.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I am Andy Gorelow, the Incident Meteorologist down here on the Hermits Peak, Calf Canyon South Zone part of the fire. So we're going to talk a little bit. Obviously, you guys have heard quite a bit. Monsoon is in full swing now. It started a few days ago, and we are certainly looking at significant rain in the future. We've already had plenty of rain, but we're looking at tomorrow as being the most significant and probably the most dangerous. So something we're going to have to watch out for. But we're going to talk a little bit about some of the weather that's going on now, and then looking down the road. So just a quick image here. This is the current visible satellite imagery. Once again, we're starting to see those showers and thunderstorms pop up this afternoon. So far, we really haven't seen any rain over the fire yet today, but we still have that opportunity going into this evening with some showers and thunderstorms. Any storm that does develop can put down a quick dumping of rain. And so we're definitely looking at potential of some of that heavier rain moving in tonight. It's hit or miss, but again, that potential is there. I'll go to the next slide. So what we're looking at here, this is basically a moisture image. This is a water vapor image of all the moisture. The lighter colors, the blues, the lighter blues, that's deeper moisture. And when we look at that, we can see that's where the biggest stream of moisture is occurring. You look further west into Arizona, really dry out in that area. Not a lot of moisture available. You're not really seeing any clouds develop. All that moisture is basically sitting over New Mexico right now. And all that is continuing to stream off to the north, and that's really going to be our player for the next several days. Some of these, you can kind of see thunderstorms starting to develop, but plenty of moisture is available, and that's what we're going to be looking at. So let's go to the next one, please. So there we go. So what this is we're just looking back 72 hours, back 3 days, and how much precipitation has fallen over the region. We have on the left side of the screen here the Sierra Pilado fire, and then our Hermits Peak Calf Canyon fire. So what we're looking at is of rainfall amounts that have occurred over the last 3 days, and you can see there's been some pretty significant rainfall, especially over those western edges of the fire, closer to the ridge tops. These thunderstorms have been favoring these ridges, and that's where most of the precipitation has been falling. So a lot of places received between 1 inch and 1.25 inches of rain on the west side, and then as you go into the east side of the fire, generally 1/4 to 1/2 inch maybe on that part of the fire. So there's been significant amount of rain so far. Luckily, this has all been falling kind of a slow and steady. We haven't seen any significant thunderstorm that has been sitting over the same spot. So because it's been raining steadily and not all at once, we haven't seen that flash flood occur yet, or any flash flooding. But that is expected to change as we start to move into tomorrow, where we'll see more and more coverage of thunderstorms and potentially even heavier rain than what we've been seeing. So let's go to the next one. Just looking at the setup for tomorrow, this is a classic monsoon pattern for New Mexico. Strong high pressure over the central part of the U.S. And we have a low pressure kind of hanging off the California coast. And basically we have moisture that's being squeezed between this high pressure and low pressure and being funneled directly into our area. Moisture coming off the Gulf of Mexico and the moisture coming out of the Gulf of California. And when that happens, you've got that stream of moisture, which we saw on that satellite imagery, and that's sitting up right over our area. And just a quick look into the future, the high pressure kind of moves back towards the west. We still have moisture, but the amount of moisture as we get towards the end of the week will actually be decreasing. We're not going to end our thunderstorm chances completely, but they will decrease in coverage as we get towards the end of the week. But most importantly is what we're looking at for Tuesday and again on Wednesday. Next, please. So this is an image of a future radar. So what the models are doing is showing what the model is thinking when it comes to how much rain we're looking at. So we're looking at basically 6 a.m. tomorrow to midnight tomorrow night. The darker, the reddish colors are very heavy rain, and this is kind of what the model is forecasting when it comes to where the heavier showers and thunderstorms. So basically starting in the morning, going through in the afternoon, you can see there's quite a bit of some heavy rain in there. And that's something that we're definitely going to be watching for, that potential of flash flood. It's not going to be one storm that comes and moves away. It's probably going to be a series of storms throughout the day that's just going to rain over that same location, and that's where it gets dangerous. So next slide, please. So this is just a precipitation forecast. Today we were looking at precipitation mainly to the south of the fire. There have been a few storms popping up there, but so far we really haven't seen too much develop over the fire. Like I mentioned, there's still that possibility, but as we go into Tuesday, you can see that moisture really increases, especially over our area. We start to see those numbers go up around an inch, possibly up to 2 inches tomorrow, and even again on Wednesday, we're still looking for a decent amount of rain. Now, if we look at the total, this is a week total all the way through Friday. The models are actually forecasting anywhere between 1.5 inches up to maybe 3 inches of rain. So that's the potential we're going to be looking at over the next several days. Especially tomorrow and Wednesday are going to be our major days for rain chances. Next, please. So this is another precipitation forecast, the amount of precipitation that is forecast. And this is what it's showing by Wednesday morning. So we're looking at 1 to 2 inch amounts, generally over that western edge of the fire, which is typically favored along that ridge, like I mentioned, the western perimeter, and around 1 inch amounts over the eastern perimeter. So quite a bit of rain. It's not exact, but it's very possible some of these storms could produce even more than that. So definitely something we're going to be watching for. But the models are forecasting that heavier rain tomorrow along that ridge on the western edges of the fire. So something we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on. Next, please. So this is, again, a precipitation forecast, looking at numbers. 7-day total is getting up towards 3 or 4 inches. So this is all, instead of Friday, we're going past that into next week. So significant amount of moisture is forecast for our area as this monsoon pattern stays in play and stays strong. Next, please. So currently, this is what we have now. The National Weather Service in Albuquerque has issued a flash flood watch for these counties here. Pretty much for all the burn scars, the potential of flash flooding is great because of the setup that we're looking at. Now, the difference between a flash flood watch and a warning, a flash flood watch, let's say you're trying to make a sandwich. You have your peanut butter, you have your jelly, and you have your bread. They're all sitting on the table. All the ingredients are there, but your sandwich isn't made yet. A warning, the sandwich is made. That's what we're looking at. So right now we got the ingredients there for it, but it's not that warning yet. So something to keep an eye on as we go into tomorrow. You may start seeing those flash flood warnings come out. But right now we are looking at a flash flood watch that goes from 6 a.m. tomorrow until midnight tomorrow night. Next, please. Another thing that was mentioned and is extremely dangerous after fires are debris flows. Burn scars are very susceptible to flash flooding. Before the fire, you have a deep litter in the forest, the leaves, the pine needles, everything like that kind of soaks in all that water. So you really have good saturation of the soil. During a fire, all that vegetation, all that litter on the ground burns. And what happens is it completely takes away any opportunity for that water to soak into the soil. And so after a fire, basically you're just left with that ash, that burned debris, and everything below that is very water repellent. It does not soak into the ground, so all that ash just comes washing down the hill. So definitely something we're going to be looking at come tomorrow and again on Wednesday, or really any significant thunderstorm will have the opportunity to create debris flows, but we think that chance is greatest tomorrow and Wednesday. Excuse me. Next, please. So just beyond, we're looking beyond that, and this is what we're kind of looking at trends. So we can see high relative humidity, that's the amount of moisture in the air, is great over the next couple of days. And we kind of see a little bit of a decrease as we go into the weekend. Now, it doesn't mean that, thunderstorm chances are going to end, but we're actually starting to get a little bit more drier air come in. But as we go into next week, it looks like that RH comes back up. And then our precipitation chart all the way through next Wednesday shows at least a chance of precipitation each day. Minimums on Thursday and Friday, but again starts ramping up Saturday through Wednesday. So we're not going to be out of this for a long shot. And next, please. So this is something that's issued by the Climate Prediction Center, and this was just issued yesterday, and it kind of shows a 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. So what they are seeing with their signals is a solid monsoon pattern over Arizona. And you can see we're kind of right on the edge of that, but we are in the above normal or likely above normal for precipitation. So we're not going to be out of this, at least for the next 6 to 10 days. And even going 8 to 14 days, we're still in that pattern where we are likely to see precipitation or likely to be in this monsoon pattern beyond that. So at least 2 weeks. Doesn't mean it's going to rain every day, but that potential for that monsoon pattern to remain in place is great, at least for the next 2 weeks. And go to the next one. That's it, okay. And, but like I mentioned, tomorrow and Wednesday are the greatest threat for flash flooding. Don't try to drive into flooded roadways. Always know your escape routes. Debris flows can come down washes that have probably not seen flash flooding before. It can be a significant danger. So just keep that in mind and watch your forecast, radio, television, no weather radio, internet, anything like that can give you warnings that do come out. So be safe, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Fire behavior analyst, I predict what the fire is going to do and where it's going to go. And I look at three things. I'm looking at the fuels, the topography, and the weather. You just heard from Andy, our meteorologist, that it has been raining. It's going to continue to rain. And that has a direct effect on those fuels out there. It's making my life a lot easier because it's easy to predict when we get all that rain, those fuels moisten up. And the big thing, the thing that's moistening up out there are those fine dead fuels, those little pine needles, the small twigs, the grass, that type of thing. That's moistening up. That takes up that moisture quickly, and it allows the fire not to spread. If they're dry, the fire spreads rapidly through that. If they're moist, they stop spreading. The unfortunate part is the larger fuels, the stumps, the logs, those bigger pieces of fuel out there, they take up moisture very slow. And they're sitting at today about 12% fuel moisture, so that's about a kiln dry in 2 So they're still ready to burn, and that's what's burning out there. So we're not seeing the fire spreading, and I don't think we're going to see the fire spread in the near future from all the rain that's predicted, but we will still see smoldering fire behavior out there in those larger fuels, especially down here in the Pecos drainage, the Hamilton Mesa area, that last burn, those last runs we had, there's a lot of heavy dead down in there that caught on fire. That will continue to smolder even through these very wet periods. They can hold that, especially if they're sheltered by fir trees or spruce trees or something like that. They will hold that heat and keep it. And then if we dry back out, and those fine dead fuels dry, then they will give that heat to those fine dead fuels and allow it to spread around. So that's why we're still concerned about the heat up in there. But around the rest of the fire, I'm not expecting any perimeter movement north or south, nor am I expecting to see a lot of smoldering except up in the wilderness area. And I'll hang around. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stuart. We appreciate that. And for those that joined us late, remember you can always rewind, go back and watch the operations overviews for both the north and the south zone, as well as the weather and Stuart's fire behavior and analysts as well. All right, I'm going to now turn it over to the Congressional Affairs Manager for FEMA, AISSHA Flores Cruz.
Good evening, everyone. My name is AISSHA Flores, External Affairs for FEMA. On behalf of the Governor's Office and the New Mexico Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness, we would like to continue to encourage residents to listen to their local officials and news outlets for safety messages. If you're told to evacuate or find high ground, do so immediately. If you cannot evacuate, please find high ground. The threat of flooding is greater this year for residents in areas affected by the ongoing wildfires, as the burn scars can create dangerous flash floods and mudslides. Even a distant rainstorm can quickly flood your location. We're also encouraging residents to prepare now for emergency, create a plan, monitor the weather through TV, radio, reliable social media channels, and phones. Use a weather radio for real-time weather conditions. Plan evacuation routes, know where to shelter, have medicine and important documents on hand. For more information, please visit www.nmdhsem.org. or call the state's Fire Resource Hotline at 1-800-432-2080. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, Aisha. We appreciate that. We're going to turn it back down to our partners on the south for San Miguel County Sheriff Chris Lopez.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Celeste, as always, for the introduction. In terms of operations, there's been a lot going on as I've been reporting. We've been really working hard on the ground to prepare for tomorrow and Wednesday. This has been something that's been on the radar for quite some time, and we're really trying to get as much done as we can moving into this. And moving into Tuesday and Wednesday, I kind of want to reiterate, this is the beginning of monsoon season, so we can anticipate the potential for future flooding, future events like what we're anticipating for the next few days over the course of the next few months. So just keep that in mind as we continue to prepare, as we continue mitigation efforts for flooding, as we continue to do all the work on the ground that we can to get ahead of whatever we could be expecting. A couple of things that I wanted to cover in terms of flooding and getting the word out and preparing is complacency. I know over the last handful of days we have had some rain. More recently we had some significant rain yesterday, and I want to tell people, don't get complacent. Don't, just because we had good rain and we didn't see anything, as we continue to get that moisture and the soil becomes saturated, it makes it even more potential for us to get flash flooding. So just keep that in mind. We are working closely with all of our partners, and because of the fire scar and the burn severity that we're seeing on the ground, the potential is really, really high. So we can anticipate that it will be here at some point, and Tuesday, tomorrow, Wednesday, very high potential for that to occur. So just be ready for that. And I'll get a little bit more into that here in a bit, but I did want to start by talking about our Ready, Set, Go evacuation system updates. So more recently, we were able to clear all of that Pecos corridor, the Pecos Village corridor, from ready status and all the way up until Holy Ghost has all been cleared from any kind of status. So right now what we're looking at is Iron Gate and Holy Ghost polygons still being in a status. Holy Ghost polygon is in a ready status. Iron Gate is in a set status. So those that were out in in the Iron Gate polygon, they have been allowed to go back home. And again, that is residents only, so keep that in mind. That's some very good news, and I did want to mention that to people as we continue to see moisture on the ground. With that, in terms of mitigation efforts, I've been reporting about our sandbag operations. We have a rough number between our counties of about 80,000 sandbags that have been made. Today, with help from our IMT, we were able to do, and of our National Guard, of course, and then all of our local help that's on the ground, we were able to produce, I think we heard a number, the number I got a while ago was 9,450 was the count, and I know the Guard and our local resources are going to continue working. We shifted into 18 hours a day now, so my hat's off to all of those that are working hard to provide mitigation measures, sandbags, all the work that's going on to try and prepare for this monsoon season. With that, I can also tell you that we do have U.S. Army Corps of Engineers on the ground doing work both in Mora and San Miguel counties. So a lot of things happening, a lot of work being done, and as we continue to try and prepare for what we can be expecting. So in terms of preparing for tomorrow and Wednesday, especially now in the short term, really pay attention to the messaging that's out there. I can tell you at our local website, the San Miguel website, co.sanmiguel.nm.us, there's a lot of information there, both for the fires but also for flooding and ideas. I know I talked about a video that was going to be put on or created by local and by Department of Homeland Security and DOT in terms of how to properly stack sandbags. That's on the website. That's also on DHSEM's website for you to share or to look at, so you can get ideas of how to properly stack sandbags. There's also on our local San Miguel website, there's a flooding map. The link's right on the front page of that. You can click on that and you can see where our floodplains are in terms of where your residents might be. If you're in or near the floodplain, you need to really be preparing, and you need to be, as you've heard from all the other speakers tonight, have a plan, be ready to go and know what you're going to do. I won't go into all of those details, as you already heard them quite a bit today and over the past several days. So, just really get on, follow all of our releases. We have our radio stations that'll be sending out those alerts, as well as our rave system and our iPod system, and also National Weather Service alerts as well. So if you've probably been seeing those on your phones already, on TV, on the radio, but just really be prepared for that. I'd also like to mention that as things continue to develop, we're also working on strengthening some of those alert systems. We're trying to get some alarms that we could put in the upper canyons. We're trying to strengthen some of our repeater power, and just a lot of different efforts going on. And so, I just want to let people know that now is the time to be prepared. Just like when we were dealing with the fire part of this disaster, and I got up here and talked to you about what could be expected or when it was go time. These next couple of days are going to be big for us in terms of the possibility of some pretty severe flooding. So just be aware of that. Really follow your senses when you're out there. I mean, there's your smell, listening. You can hear flooding coming, especially when it's substantial. And also, keep your eye out and just really pay attention. And, just have those plans ready to go as we want to make sure that everybody is safe. I can also tell you that law enforcement is still out there reaching out to the public and talking to everybody for the last several days and all day today. And we'll be out there again tomorrow, just getting the word out and trying to make sure that people are ready to go. If you, for some reason, are able to leave, maybe for the next few days or get away from if you're in that potential area and you get those alerts, leave for a while and then come back when it's safe to do so. But take yourself out of that equation if you can. And I know in some cases it's not possible, but that's the easier way to go about it, to make sure that you and your family are safe. And if for some reason you can't get out, give us a call so we can help make accommodations to get you out. That's something else that's very big for us, as I know that we do have some population out there that does have those struggles that as we saw during the fires as well. So, let us know, because if we don't know, it's hard for us to get to you. So don't hesitate to call and ask for help if you do need that. And together we can do great things. And through teamwork, as this develops, we'll be able to continue to prepare better. And I did want to end on one note. I want people to realize that we're going to be dealing with this part of the disaster throughout the next few months, which is our monsoon season. And then after that, potentially for several years after, we could be dealing with this kind of stuff. So we need to prepare ourselves and understand what we're dealing with, and have a lot better plan as we continue to develop our systems of alert. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Sheriff Lopez. We sure have enjoyed our time working with you. And I do want to mention that for evacuation warnings here in the North Zone, they have all been lifted. That includes Taos and Mora County. In addition, all evacuations associated with the midnight fire in Rio Aruba County have also been lifted. And with this, I'm going to turn it back over to our Operations Section Chief, Jason COIL, for one final message.
Hey, so we were talking about your PACE plan, and one component of that PACE plan, it needs to be that you make sure that that whatever communications you're counting on is working. One of the NOAA weather radio transmitters, the one that's to the northeast of the fire area, was damaged in one of the extreme wind events, and it's still not operational. So your NOAA weather radio may not open up and alert like it's supposed to, depending on where you're at. So Sheriff Lopez just talked about other forms of communication. So what I want to do is just highlight the fact that whatever form of communication you're using, don't wait until the time that you need it to see if it works. So make sure that you can receive those different frequencies, whether it's an AM radio frequency, NOAA weather frequency, or anything else that you're using to alert you of the possible flooding. So good opportunity to practice your PACE plan. Thanks.
Thank you so much for that, Jason. And with that, that concludes all our presentations for this evening. I do want to say that after 3 different assignments here, and assignments for our teams are typically 14 to 21 days, we work upwards of 16 hours a day. So once we get to our 14th day, they start looking at bringing in another team. That's why you've seen us in and out of here a few times. At this point, it is going to go to a Type 2 team. I don't foresee us coming back to northern New Mexico this summer, but we never know what will really happen. But I have to say, we really have enjoyed our time here. There's been some wonderful folks that we've gotten to work with and get to know over the last 2 months, and the thanks and appreciation has been abundant, and we really, really appreciate it. I sure hope that you folks are able to get back to a normal life here soon and get to enjoy some of the summer here in New Mexico. And with that, please stay safe and take care.